So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Kidnapped Kushina and Tsunade? So let's start the series. Tsunade wakes up with a pounding headache and has to reprimand herself for drinking again. This always happens, but it doesn't stop her from doing it again. She groans as she stretches out in bed, but she freezes when a voice tells her to be quiet. Someone else is in her bed, and it's been a while since something like this had happened. She pries her eyes open despite the light burning her retinas and looks at the man who shares a bed with her. She wants to be angry with him, but it was probably her idea to return to her room. Even though she can't recall anything from last night, she knows the man she slept with, Minto Namikaze. She watches as he stiffens, finally realizing that there is someone else in the bed with him, and his eyes flash open, jerking backwards, away from her. His spiky, ink-black hair is more unruly than usual, and it falls into his face, covering his eyes, though they weren't open. "Tsunade-sama!" she exclaims as he falls off the bed, and her hazel eyes widen. "Obviously, you've never done anything like this before," Tsunade sighs as she waits for him to get up off the ground. She can't understand how Konoha made a man who was still essentially a child Hokage. No, I haven't," says a red-faced man who was peeking at her with embarrassment on his face. Tsunade's lips change into a savage grin as she says, "We will pretend this never happened. It will never be talked about or thought about again after this morning. Is that understood?" She knows she can use intimidation to obtain what she wants. Tsunade sits up in bed and narrows her eyes at Minto as he nods his head like a bobblehead. "Why are you so relieved? Most men would be ecstatic to have slept with me. Is it my age?" "I'm not that much older than you," she asks, aware that her creation rebirth has made her appear older than she actually is, but she still thinks she looks amazing. Perhaps she should start using a transformation technique to make herself appear younger. "No," Minto says in a panic, rejecting her assertion. "I just don't want Sensei finding out," he says. "He better not find out. If he does, you'll be losing part of your anatomy," Tsunade says, attempting to spot a lie in his face but finding that what he is saying appears to be real. Nevertheless, she will be employing that transformation technique moving forward. "He won't be hearing it from me, Tsunade-sama," Minto says, his skin going completely white as he rushes to put on his clothing. The day is just beginning, and she is ready for it to end. Tsunade collapses back onto the bed, pulling the sheet up to her neck. She closes her eyes and waits for him to leave. She had vowed to herself that she would never do it again, but now she finds herself in the same predicament. She merely hopes he leaves soon, which is fortunate because she doesn't have to wait long. Once he leaves, she pulls the pillow out from under her head and screams into it. She really needs to quit drinking because if she doesn't, she will become pregnant or contract an STD. "Come in," she says as someone knocks on her door, knowing it must be Shizune, unless it's that jerk Minto returning for something. Upon realizing it's Shizune, Tsunade exhales with relief. "I brought you breakfast, Tsunade-sensei," Tsunade asks suspiciously, "and why did you do that?" Shizune hardly ever gives in to her like this. Tsunade whitens as she asks, "You had a rough night, I thought this would make you feel better," and she puts the tray on the dresser. "I know how hard the anniversary of Nawaki's death always hits you," she says, answering her query. "Thank you, Shizune," Tsunade says, pulling herself together as she closes her eyes at the thought that her baby brother is dead. "A hollow ache fills my chest and my eyes burn, but the tears don't fall because they dried up years ago." Underscore 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 the older blonde doesn't care, though, so she might as well gamble if she isn't going to drink her night away. In addition, gambling kept her mind too occupied to consider the implications of nausea, exhaustion, and an enlarged bust. 2 months have passed since her run-in with Minato, and she had made the decision to permanently give up sake because Nawaki wouldn't want to drink herself into a stupor, and having drunk sex she can't remember isn't good for her health. Taking a deep breath, Tsunade calls her student into the room from the couch in their motel's living room, knowing that she cannot postpone it long. Shizune, I want you to practice your medical ninjutsu, she says. As Shizune heads to her bedroom to retrieve her medical bag, she says, "Hi, Tsunade-sensei," asking, "Who will I be practicing on?" "Me." Tsunade's tone precludes inquiries. "Yes, sensei," Shizune murmurs, attempting to ascertain the nature of the issue. "Will you lay down? Remember to let your chakra flow with my chakra, don't fight the natural stream and just follow it around my body," Tsunade says, placing her hands over her tummy as directed. Shizune nods her head and allows her chakra to flow into her sensei. She can sense the life force of her sensei moving through her body, and she bites her lip when most of her chakra is directed toward Tsunade's body rather than the next chakra point. Following her sensei's advice, Shizune allows her chakra to lead her to Tsunade's uterus, where it enters a developing fetus. Shizune looks up at Tsunade and licks her lips. "Tsunade-sensei, I think you're pregnant," she says. Tsunade asks, "You think or you know?" in response to the hesitation. Breathes deeply. "I know, that's what I thought," says the older blonde to her student. Tsunade heaves herself from the couch and rushes to her room. "Shizune, we're moving out," she says. "Where are we going?" "Konoha," Tsunade says, gathering all of her garments and encasing them in a scroll. Even if they were traveling to Konoha, they most likely wouldn't be staying there, and there's always the question of who the father might be, so Shizune maintains her joy to a minimum. "Why?" "The father of my baby lives there," she says as she walks out the front door, aware that Shizune will be right behind her. Her mind is racing, trying to decide what she should do. She wants to run away and keep the baby to herself, but she also wants to punch him through a wall because it's his fault that she's in this situation. Sharing the best thing that has ever happened to her with someone else is the last thing she wants to do. This baby is her new beginning, and she won't allow anything to take him away from her. If it were her last act, she would protect this baby. They would have to keep him hidden until he is old enough to defend himself. Many people want to exact revenge on her and Minto, and killing a baby would be the simplest way to do so. She will make him as strong as she can to ensure that he doesn't die young like her younger brother or Dan. She is certain that he won't die. Underscore 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 underscore. When Minato hears a woman with a low, raspy voice demanding to speak with the Hokage, he sits at his desk and looks over Kushina's mission report. She just returned from a recon mission to Stone Country to ensure their borders are safe, and she is laughing and talking about how she protected a family from a moose attack. I don't care who he's talking to or what he's talking about. I'm going to speak with Minato right now. Tsunade-sensei. Don't hurt the Ambu. They are just doing their job. Kushina gives Minato a shit-eating smile as the two ninjas hear grunts and thuds. Someone's in trouble, she sings. He never told anybody about their night together, so he can't help but wonder why she's after him. Minato breaks out in a cold sweat. The only time he's heard her so furious was when she was about to beat his sensei into next week. She's here, but why? She stomps into the room and kicks the doors wide, so he doesn't have to wonder long. Shizune follows her meekly, saying, "Minato. We have to talk, Tsunade-sama." Minato swallows, turning to face Kushina. "What can I do for you?" his eyes implore. She turns to Kushina and says, "We have something to discuss, alone, no problem." "I'll just wait outside for you to finish," Kushina says with her megawatt grin to Tsunade before dancing out of the room and giving Minato one final smirk before shutting the doors. She insists, enact the privacy seals. After doing a few hand seals, he slams his hand against his desk, revealing a hidden seal. "What is this about, Tsunade-sama?" Minato asks, returning his hands to his lap, as he turns to face Shizune. He had hoped that she would be able to help him realize how screwed he is, but she is just staring at them both in complete shock. As she waits for a response, she wears a sickly sweet smile. Minato knows better than to trust that smile, though, because it warns him that if he doesn't take caution, he will experience excruciating pain. "You remember a little over 2 months ago when we slept together?" she asked. She narrows her eyes and says, "I haven't told anyone, I promise," but he can tell that's not the response she's looking for. She bends over the desk and looks down at him. "I wouldn't think so. You watched Jiraiya get enough beating to know what would happen to you if you said anything," she says. "You got me pregnant," Minato says, having long desired to be able to read a woman's thoughts with such intensity. "You'd think a man that can make a whole army turn and run could handle the news he is going to be a father," Tsunade says, huffing as she looks down at the renowned shinobi as all the blood drains from his face as he passes out. She also looks at her student to see Shizune's horrified expression. "You slept with 4th Hokage-sama? Why is it so absurd that Minato thought she was attractive enough to have sex with her?" Tsunade can feel the pulsing vein in her forehead threatening to explode. "Wake him up, Shizune," is the transformation jutsu she will undoubtedly use because she is only 12 years older than him. Shizune rushes to the Hokage and waves some smelling salts beneath his nose, not wanting to anger her mentor. Minato gasps and jumps into a sitting position when he sees Tsunade staring at him, realizing that learning that Tsunade is pregnant wasn't a dream and that he will soon become a parent. With her hands on her hips, Tsunade says, "About time you woke up," and Minato can tell that she isn't impressed by his response. Yes, we have a lot to talk about," Minato says, getting up from the floor and turning to face Shizune. "What exactly do you want me to do?" he asks, facing the mother of his child. He wants Tsunade to return to Konoha so they can raise the child together, teach his child how to be a ninja and teach them all of his jutsu, and most importantly, show his baby how much they are loved every single day. He knows better than to show that to Tsunade. It would be better if she expressed her desires and then negotiated. "Ideally, for you to give up your rights to my baby, not happening," he said, refusing to give up his child, even though she could beat him to within an inch of his life. She exhales and sits on a couch at the side of the room, saying, "I didn't think so. I will be the primary care provider, and I will allow visitation every other weekend as being Hokage permits. I will also keep you updated on our whereabouts so you won't have to look for us. If I give you primary custody, I want you to live in the village where I can have an active role in their life," Minato says, nodding. "Hell no. Tsunade growls, "My son with not step 1 foot in this accursed village." Minato says, "You know what we're having? We're having a boy," as she struggles to keep from fainting once more. Every time he smiles at her or calls her Kachan, though, Tsunade's cheeks flush and she says, "It's just a feeling." She knows that there is no way to know this early in her pregnancy, but she knows she is right. He will be rambunctious and she will need to keep a close eye on him to keep him safe. "If you raise him outside of the village, you'll have to bring him back when he's 8 to enter the academy," Minato says, taking a deep breath and his eyes straying to her stomach. "If you raise him outside of the village, You'll have to bring him back when he's 8 to enter the academy, he says. If you raise him outside of the village, you'll have to bring him back when he's 8 to enter the academy, Minato says. Tsunade's embarrassed blush turns to rage as she exclaims, he will not become a ninja. Minato will not compromise on this point. His son must be able to defend himself because a lot of people will come after him and want him dead. If he doesn't teach his son ninja techniques, it would be like inviting them to come and kill him. He has the blood of Hokages running through him, of course he's going to be a ninja. What if you let the baby decide if he wants to be a ninja or not when he gets older? Shizune asks as she watches the two strong shinobi quarrel back and forth, knowing that Tsunade will kill the Hokage if she doesn't intervene. It's just an idea, Shizune says as Tsunade turns her neck to face her. Minato smiles at Shizune and says, it's a good idea, appreciating that someone is attempting to assist him in speaking with the irate, expectant woman. Minato and Shizune can see the agony in the older woman's eyes as she begins to worry about her unborn child. No one can know that he's ours. If they do, people will come to kill him, Tsunade says, hammering her fist against the desk. The hell it is, she says. He'll choose to be a ninja just to give me a heart attack. Nothing will happen to our baby as long as I'm alive, I promise, Minato tells the woman, attempting to contain her emotions. We'll keep his parentage a secret until he's strong enough to protect himself. Shizune promises, I will also keep him safe, sensei, as he approaches the blonde. I would like Kushina Uzumaki to act as a bodyguard throughout your pregnancy, Minato asks sensibly, waiting until she is ready before doing so. Tsunade sniffs and regains emotional control. I'm one of the legendary Sannin, I don't need help, Tsunade snorts at the suggestion that she needs protection. Most of your chakra is being redirected to growing the baby, says Shizune to her instructor, you won't be able to protect yourself as well and you used to, and many of your enemies are too strong for me to fight myself, having a strong, experienced ninja like Kushina would be useful. She will have to promise never to speak about my pregnancy with anyone. Do you trust her to keep our secret? Tsunade bites her lip, knowing that it will be extremely unlikely that she will be able to use her super strength as her pregnancy progresses, not to mention any of the other jutsu that she knows. Shizune is a good shinobi, but she is nowhere near the level she or any of the ninjas hunting her. I trust her with my life, she's my best friend, she will protect our son like he's her own, Minato says, wanting to exhale in satisfaction but knowing that doing so will only hurt his case. Bring her in, we have to tell her what her mission for the next 7 months is going to be, she said, acknowledging that having Kushina with them would only help her defend her child, even though she dislikes the very thought of sharing her child with even more people. Shizune leaves to allow Kushina to re-enter after the Hokage gives her a hand signal. Tsunade walks over to the window, not wanting to participate in the conversation, preferring to let Minato handle that. She rubs her fingertips over her stomach. As a young child, she didn't think much about becoming a mother, all she wanted was to become strong like her grandfather and granduncle. After her parents passed away, she raised her brother and realized how much she enjoyed being a mother. Nawaki was her entire world, and when he passed away, she never wanted to go through that kind of pain again. Only after meeting Dan did she even consider having children again. After he passed away, she completely gave up on the idea. Now, this baby is all she can think about. I will always be there for you, little one, she whispers, ignoring Kushina's playful taunts of Minato behind her. I will never let anything happen to you, she says. Tsunade's grandmother's old retreat, 5 miles outside the village, was chosen 6 months ago, and she loves living there. It reminded her of her early years, and after discussing it with Shizune, she decided that raising her child here was what they would do. 3 months ago, Minato was thrilled to hear this. It's the ideal compromise. Tsunade isn't in Konoha, but it's close enough that Minato can visit frequently. Kushina. She cries as she puts her hands about her stomach in an attempt to protect her unborn child as she watches a man wearing an orange mask emerge from the forest while she is sitting in a rocker on her front porch. "What's your business here?" asks Kushina as she steps in front of her katana already drawn. The man approaches, his gaze fixed on Tsunade's abdomen, and says, "Nothing much, just the 9 tails," before turning to Kushina and pulling out a kunai. "Shizune!" Kushina yells, causing Shizune to flee through the front door. "Throw Minato's Hiraition kunai and take Tsunade-sama to safety," she says, not understanding how he knows she is the fox's Jinchuriki. "Can't have that," the man tuts as Shizune pulls out the special kunai. "I can't have the Hokage saving you." The kunai vanishes in a whirl and collapses into itself before Shizune can summon Minato to them. Together, the 3 women exclaim, "What?" Tsunade gathers herself first and gets up from the chair. She wants to stay and battle the redhead, but she must prioritize her child. "Shizune. Let's go," she says. "Hi, Tsunade-sensei," Shizune says, looking anxiously at the woman she considers to be a sister. "Don't die, Kushina-chan," she says. "I can't die, not until I met my nephew," Kushina says with a simple grin as she turns to face Shizune and Tsunade. She then dashes forward to fight the orange-masked man, hoping the 2 ladies will arrive to Minato in time. Underscore 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 underscore. Knowing that Shizune could complete the 20-minute walk in 8 without her, Tsunade insisted that Shizune go ahead and get help after her water broke after 4 miles. She tries to walk in between contractions but is unable to go very far before a crippling contraction sends her sliding down the enormous oak tree she is leaning on. She looks up at the moon and prays that Shizune and Minato will return soon. Tsunade measures her cervix with her fingers between her legs to determine how far along she is in labor. She finds it to be 5 centimeters. "You are worth it," she grunts, muttering to herself, and he'd better be eternally grateful that she's going this for him. Tsunade takes her hand out from between her thighs, and she nearly has a heart attack when she sees the blood coating her fingers. Her baby is in distress and is likely dying, and if a doctor were present, she would insist on an emergency C-section. However, there are no doctors present, and her baby could pass away before Shizune returns. Tsunade realizes that time is running out, not if she wants her baby to live, so she uses her chakra scalpel in her right hand. She knows that the pain will be excruciating, but it will be worth it in the end. Using her left hand, she locates the area just above her pubic bone to make the first cut. She wants to scream in agony when she begins, but bites her lip. She must remain focused if she is going to save her baby. Her hands are shaking when she finishes, and she pries her uterus open to reach her baby. Her eyes widen in horror at the excess blood. Dan died of exsanguination to save her, so it is only fitting that she dies from blood loss to save her baby. Pulling her little boy from her belly and holding him to her chest while he sobs, she uses the chakra scalpel once more to cut the placenta cord and heal it with jutsu. She tries to picture her baby growing up without her, but she is unable to do so. Her only chance of surviving to see her child grow up is to release her creation rebirth seal. She feels the chakra flow into her body, forcing her wound closed. She tries to soothe her baby by rubbing her blood-stained hand over his forehead. "It's okay, sweetheart, everything's going to be okay. Ka-chan's here," she says with a smile to her young son. Shizune will insist that she teach him respect and have him call her Oka-san, but she wants him to feel close enough to her to come talk to her about anything and everything. I love you, Naruto, she says, and the baby calms down a little when she calls him by name. You like that, huh? Minato couldn't let this go. Since they moved to Mitoba-chan's house, they have been fighting over the baby's name. Tsunade's eyes begin to close, and she gazes into her baby's newborn eyes. Ka-chan's just going to go to sleep for a little while. Everything's okay, Naro-chan, mommy loves you. Underscore 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 underscore. In addition to someone attempting to kill Kushina and take the Kyuubi, Minato is moving through the forest more quickly than he has ever done. Tsunade is also in labor, and he ought to have inked his Hiratian seal on the back of her hand so he wouldn't have to search the wilderness for them. When he hears a faint cry in the distance, he stops on a tree and tries to think of a more efficient way to find Naruto and his mother. He considers using Kaige no Bunshin to sweep the forest, but this would use up his chakra reserves, which he needs to help Kushina fight the masked shinobi. He waits for a few more minutes to try to think of a solution, and then, fearing it's his son, Minato pushes off from the tree and rushes towards the sound. When he sees Tsunade and Naruto, he feels both ecstatic and horrified by the scene. He is thrilled to see his son for the first time, but he is also horrified by the fact that Tsunade is covered in blood and that the creation rebirth seal is retraction from her body, making her appear 10 years older than she actually is. Minato hopes that the Sennin's technique will be sufficient to save her life. I found them, Minato said, taking them both into his arms and carrying them to the hospital room Shizune had prepared. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but when I got there her creation rebirth seal had been released, he said, placing Tsunade on the bed with her arms still tightly wrapped around their child. When Tsunade's hands reach up to take her baby back, she becomes agitated. It's okay, sensei, Minato has Naruto, she says, but her words don't calm the blonde woman down. Okage-sama, take Naruto to the nursery and then go save Kushina-chan, Shizune says after picking up the baby and giving him to Minato. Why did she activate her seal? Minato exclaims, "Hi," and quickly locates the nearest nurse. Take this baby to the nursery, his name is Naruto, Minato says. The nurse nods, and Minato departs in a black flash. He arrives at the house and stumbles back due to the devastation surrounding him. The left side of the house has collapsed, and smoke is emanating from it. There are craters on the ground and uprooted trees. Kushina lost. Based on the appearance of the battlefield at the house and the tracks through the forest, the orange-masked man is most likely attempting to free the Kyuubi and kill Kushina. He pushes himself faster in the hopes of arriving in time. He realizes he has failed when the sky begins to swirl with red chakra. He manages to stop the Kyuubi from impaling her with its claw, takes them to a nearby rock, and cuddles his best buddy to his bosom. Minato. Is Tsunade, Shizune and Naruto, are they okay? Kushina finds it difficult to speak as life departs her body. Yes. They're fine, I took them to the hospital, Minato sobs. Kushina continues to put the needs of others before her own even in death. Kushina tries to keep her eyes open and says, "Oh, thank God." Minato. Stop him. Stop the Nine Tails. They're headed for the village. When they reach to the hospital, Minato tells the nurse to fetch him a cot. Why, she wonders, observing that they are in the hospital nursery. Minato doesn't respond until the task is finished in a matter of seconds while he is laying her down. Never mind why. Stay with Naruto, Minato says, knowing that she will die soon and that her Uzumaki ancestry is the only reason she hasn't died yet. She won't live long enough to be an aunt to his son, and his body is filled with rage. He has never wanted a man deader than the one who was stealing his best friend. Minato places her on her bed and says, "Just rest now," before he goes outside and senses the man in the mask waiting for him. Underscore 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 an Umbu agent wearing a monkey mask bursts into Sarutobi's study and exclaims, "Third Hokage-sama! It's the Nine Tails!" The Nine Tails attacked village out of nowhere. Looking out at the Kyuubi tearing through the hamlet, Sarutobi adjusts his armor and says, "I know. I'll hold it back, gather and protect the civilians." The older shinobi can't help but wonder what happened to Kushina and why her seal failed. He sighs with relief as the Kyuubi launches a huge ball of chakra in the direction of the Hokage monument and then uses Minato's space-time barrier technique to make it vanish, saying, "Everyone move out." The old Hokage can't help but wonder where the fourth is after half of the village was destroyed and part of the hospital was in rumble. They would only be able to contain the chakra beast into another Jinchuriki with the help of a seal master, and Konoha only had 3. Jiraiya is out of the village somewhere with his spy network. Kushina isn't an option because she is probably dead from Kyuubi's release, and Minato is MIA. The third realizes that they might not be able to stop the village from being completely destroyed when the Kyuubi charges up another chakra ball. Although he is an expert in ninjutsu, none of his abilities will be able to stop the demon from launching his attack. The leech shinobi cooperate to drive the Kyuubi out of the village. Minato. Sarutobi murmurs to himself, did he teleport himself in the Nine Tails? His question is answered when light explodes in the distance, out there. Come. We must assist the fourth, and a giant toad falls from the sky and lands on the fox. Minato has returned, and in a flash of black light, Minato, the Kyuubi, and its chakra blast vanish, leaving Gamabunta behind. Underscore 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 a part of him is relieved that this sealing will probably kill him because Tsunade will make his death at her hands much more agonizing. Minato sighs with chakra exhaustion as he transports himself. Kushina, she insisted on coming, the Kyuubi, his attack, and his son. The idea of placing such a burden on his son makes him hate himself, but after meeting and fighting the masked man, he knows it's the only way they will survive the impending storm. Minato glances at Kushina and says, "Gotta put up a barrier." He didn't want to bring her at first, but she persisted, and he couldn't refuse his dying best buddy. Blood is streaming down her chin from exertion, but she manages to smile at the child despite her weak voice. "My chakra's almost drained." Kushina cries out in pain, but she manages to release her chakra chains to restrain the Kyuubi. Minato calls out to her, and Naruto begins to cry. "Sorry, Naruto. I didn't mean to wake you." Kushina. Kushina smiles at him, and Minato's chest fills with fear. "I'll drag the Nine Tails back and die with it inside me." The resolve in her eyes would make Minato smile in any other situation. "That'll prevent it from coming back, for a while. It's the only way to save you both, with the little bit of chakra I have left," she says. "Thank you for everything, you're my best friend, you helped me become the fourth Hokage, you're helping me become a good father." And I. Minato says, pausing to think of what to add. Don't look so sad. Minato, her face never stops smiling. I'm happy. I'm happy you were my best friend, happy that it's my nephew's birthday. Like, if I try to imagine surviving and being a part of his life, with you, Shizune, and Tsunade, I can't think of anything beyond I'd be so happy. Minato's eyes tear up at Kushina's. If I had any regrets, it would be that I won't see Naruto grow up and you become an amazing father. Kushina, you don't need to take the fox down with you, we can use our last bit of chakra to see Naruto one more time. Minato says, holding his infant closer in his arms and somewhat altering his plans. Kushina's fatigue is making it difficult for her to remember whether or not she heard him correctly. Then I'll lead the Nine-Tails way with a seal only a non-Jinchuriki like I can use, the dead demon seal. He looks at her resolutely. After the destruction of the Whirlpool Village, all she talked about was one day starting a family of her own. Somewhere along the way they became a family. He didn't want his son to live in a world where he never met his best friend. But that, the user will be, Kushina says, staring at him as if he's finally gone insane. But I'll only be able to seal half the fox's power. Minato ignores Kushina's interruption. It's just too great. It's physically and conceptually impossible to completely seal it all. I can't let the Nine-Tails be revived without a Jinchuriki. That balance of the tailed beasts would be destroyed. But with the dead demon seal I can permanently seal half the fox's power along with myself, and the remaining half. Minato thinks back to when Jiraiya told him about the child of prophecy. At the time, they both thought it was him, but now Minato knows it's about his son. I'll seal the remaining half inside Naruto with the 8 trigram seal. Minato doesn't have to look at Kushina to sense her disapproval. Being a Jinchuriki herself, she knows how hard it will be for his son. I know what you want to say, but Jiraiya-sensei spoke of the world undergoing a revolution and with it, a great disaster. Tonight I've confirmed 2 things. The first is that Masked Man, the one who attacked you, he is the harbinger of that disaster. And Naruto will be the one to stop him, the Jinchuriki who will blaze the trail to our future. I just know it. Minato doesn't notice the third's arrival and starts to go through the hand signs. Kushina tries to stop him, but the sale is already finalized. But Minato, have a little faith. He is my son after all. Kushina has no words and Minato understands her emotions. After I finish the dead demon seal, I'll place your remaining chakra into Naruto as well. You'll meet the grown-up Naruto sooner than you think. The time will come when he'll attempt to take control of the fox's power. I want you there to help him, Naruto, that's why. I don't want him to bear such a heavy burden all on his own. Kushina nearly screams at him, praying that reconsider, but Minato simply stares at them. But why the dead demon seal? There's no reason for you to die, just so I can meet him for a few minutes when he's older. I want you to be here for him. I want you to raise him. Why are you sacrificing Naruto just to preserve the balance of tailed beasts, to save the village and the country? Why are you sacrificing yourself for me? Turning your back on the country, on the village is just as bad as abandoning a child. Minato can't help but think back to after her village had been destroyed. She never smiled the same way after that. You should understand, you saw your own country fall apart. You know the pain of growing up without a home of your own, and you know that we are a family of shinobi. Kushina refuses to be convinced, so he tries for some humor. Besides, even if I lived, she would kill me as soon as she found out what I did. Kushina smiles a little, thinking about what Tsunade would do to him. There are things Naruto needs to be told, things I could never help him with. That's why he needs you, even if you only have the briefest of moments to do so. This isn't just for you, this is for Naruto. Minato, now that only a fellow Jinchuriki can understand the hardships of their lives, Kushina can help him through that. He smiles a little, dying to make a better life for his son. That's the stuff you let the father handle. The fox demon screams, "Curse you, fourth Hokage," as Shinigami's hand flies out to seize him. As his body becomes numb and heavy with chakra, Minato orders, seal. Both he and the Kyuubi scream in agony. Now for the 8 trigrams seal. I'm going to seal the Kyuubi inside Naruto, Minato says, placing his son on a sealing pedestal he summoned. Kushina begins to cough up blood, and Minato realizes they are running out of time. Kushina, stay with me. When Kyuubi yells now and tries to kill the infant, they both dodge the claw to keep Naruto from being impaled. If the father can do this job, the aunt should be even better, right? She says in a voice so little that Minato can hardly hear her. The Kyuubi yells, damned humans, into the sky. The frog is called forth by Minato. Thank you, Kushina. The 9 tails. And forth, what the hell happened to you? Minato passes the scroll to the toad, who wraps it around his body and says, Gamatora. I'm entrusting you with the key to the seal, hurry to Jiraiya-sensei, store it with him. Gamatora exclaims, you got it, before vanishing in a cloud of smoke. Minato senses that his life energy is waning and says, it's time for me to go, Kushina. I'm going to perform the 8 trigram seal, and try to leave a little of my own chakra too. Kushina continues, Naruto. Be good for your mother, do what she tells you, eat your vegetables, to become a strong shinobi, take baths, and get your sleep. Make friends, they will keep you strong. When the Kyuubi tries to make you weak, unsure if the baby can hear her. Avoid the 3 vices of shinobi. Minato continues with a grin on his face, we don't want you to inherit Jiraiya-sensei's bad habits, never go to him for advice about women. Shizune-chan would probably be the best for that, Kushina says as tears well up in her eyes. Naruto, you're going to experience a lot of pain and suffering. I wish I was going to be there to help you through it, find a dream, Minato says, shedding a tear. Never stop until you achieve it, 8 trigram seal, he says, adding that his son will never understand how much he loves him. Underscore 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 underscore. The third Hokage observes as the Kyuubi transforms into a swirl of chakra and enters the newborn baby. Minato and Kushina collapse, and the barrier falls. Sarutobi rushes to the 3 of them and is devastated to learn that the 2 have died. He knew they would die, but he secretly hoped that they would survive. The baby begins to cry, and the Hokage tries to pick him up, but is stopped by the woman's whizzing words. Take Naru, too. He observes her having difficulty speaking. Before he finishes and picks up the infant, Hiruzen reassures her, don't worry Kushina, saying, we will take care of your son. Her eyes glaze over in death. An Anbu agent says, third Hokage-sama, Kushina-senpai had a baby? As he soothes Naruto, the third murmured, it would seem so, it would explain why she was gone for nearly 9 months. Another person asks, who is the father? The only explanation Hiruzen could think of was, I would assume Minato. The identity of Naruto's parents is an S-class secret, he tells all of the Anbu in attendance. Many people will come seeking vengeance against Minato and Kushina if they find out about him, he says. A bare-masked shinobi approaches, exhausted, saying, Hokage-sama, who will look after the child? Many will want him dead when they see he is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He has the markings on his cheeks like his mother. Sarutobi can't help but feel sorry for the child. He should be raised by his parents, not by someone he chose. This isn't how things should be. Minato and Kushina would have made great parents, and Naruto should be going through that. He considers everyone in the village and quickly rules out the orphanage and any of the residents. it's likely that they wouldn't be able to separate Naruto from the Kyuubi. Naruto doesn't need to endure that kind of abuse. This left the shinobi population, isolating those who will be able to see Naruto as a boy rather than a demon. He understands that they all have children of their own. He can't ask them to take a child who will face repeated threats of death and assassination attempts into their home, putting their other children in danger. He grimaces as the name of the only shinobi who is still alive, Biwako Saratobi, my ex-wife, comes to mind. Underscore 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 underscore. She opens her eyes and looks about the room, expecting Shizune or Minato to be there with him. When she only sees Shizune, she clears the dryness from her throat to catch her attention. Tsunade feels air blowing into her nose, and her first reaction is, "Where the hell is my baby?" A icy hand clutches her heart when Shizune jolts awake and rushes to her bedside, asking, "How are you feeling, sensei?" She fiddles with Tsunade's covers, refusing to look her in the eye. Shizune's tears say it all. "No. No. Where is my baby?" The masked man who showed up at the house freed the Kyuubi from Kushina-chan. He unleashed the fox on the village. Part of the hospital was destroyed, the part Naruto was in, Shizune says, giving herself a hug before finally looking into Tsunade's eyes. "No." She mumbles, and Shizune tries to explain that a lot of the medical shinobi, Kushina, and Minato were also dead, along with all the babies in the nursery. The teenager wants to stay to help the village, but the mere idea of spending another moment in this hellhole makes her feel ill. This village has only ever taken until she has nothing left to give. "Shizune, we're leaving," Tsunade says, tossing off the blankets. The only thing keeping her upright is sheer willpower. She attempts to get the elder blonde to sit back down, but is stopped by the scowl she gets. "Tsunade-sama. You just had an emergency C-section. You can't be out of bed," she says. Shizune is alarmed by her lifeless voice as she says, "Leave with me or get out of my way, because I will go through you." Shizune simply nods and leaves the room with her sensei, assuming that she has lost her sobriety and fearing that it cannot be regained this time. Underscore 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 underscore. As she downs another bottle of beer, Tsunade considers Orochimaru's offer. It would be wonderful to have Dan and Nawaki back, but she also wants her baby. In a perfect world, the four of them would have been a family, but they all left her, so she's always the one left behind. Although she knows it's wrong, she still feels a strong desire to accept the offer, knowing that Dan and Nawaki will despise her and that her child will remain a few hours old forever, cursed never to grow up. She occasionally plays a game called, "What Would Naruto Be Like Today?" Losing Naruto still feels like icicles crashing into her heart with every beat, and the anguish of his passing never went away as Dan's and Nawaki's did. It becomes a bit more difficult every day since it serves as a constant reminder that she will never know. Every day is a new fantasy, and she gives him different personalities and likes and dislikes. Hey! Tsunade looks up to see the most perverse man she has ever seen. She doesn't understand why he feels the need to check up on her occasionally. Sometimes he stays for a week, and other times for a few hours. On this occasion, she hopes it will be for no more than an hour. Jiraiya. Tsunade ignores the man with the white hair and resumes drinking. Jiraiya looks down at Naruto and exclaims, "Tsunade," but the child is still fixated on whatever is in his hands. "Finally, we've found you," the elder guy says as he guides the young blonde to the table. Tsunade looks at the boy and her heart tightens. If your son had survived, he would have been around his age. She imagines that his brief life has been difficult. If the heavy chakra around him wasn't enough, the whisker marks on his cheeks tell her that he is the Jinchuriki of the Ninetales. At least he has family, people who care about him. "Who's the kid?" she asks. "A young genin I've taken under my wing," he says, flashing her what he believes to be a lovely smile. Tsunade nods, but her gaze is attracted to the child like ants to sugar. At the next pause in the conversation, Jiraiya begins, "Today, I met with someone that brings back bad memories," even though she understands that small talk is only delaying the inevitable. Jiraiya stiffens, unsure whether he can trust her. "Orochimaru? Did anything happen?" he asks. When it appears that Shizune is about to give everything away, Tsunade gives her a glare and tells her to keep quiet. "Nothing much, just a little greeting." The shifting in her eyes indicates that Jiraiya Tsunade is lying, but she knows not to push it. Tsunade will do what she wants to do. "You too." She continues, looking down at the table, "Why'd you come to see me?" When the Kyuubi groans to life inside his head, Naruto ignores the adults around him. That voice, it sounds familiar. He growls, "Who's talking, Kit?" He knows that the only reason he came on this mission was to ensure that the village didn't kill him, even though Jiraiya never mentioned it. "Just some lady Erosen and wants to be Hokage," he mutters as he returns to his leaf, rolling his eyes because Jiraiya believes he is too stupid to figure it out. He has been attempting to turn his chakra into wind since Wave Country, but has failed so far. He is starting to lose hope because of this and his attempts to complete the Rasengan. Kurama is also not helping him with the wind chakra. He says he uses raw chakra in all of his attacks and that he can't recall how Kushina-chan used her wind chakra. Naruto simply believes he is being lazy. Since he was 6 years old, he has been able to communicate with the Kyuubi, and Kurama has been his only friend for a long time. He is still one of the few, but he knew better than to bring him up to anyone because doing so would probably result in his death. The village despises him whenever he makes progress toward becoming a ninja, and multiple attempts on his life occur each time. To be honest, all he wants is to become strong enough to defend himself and make his Oba-chan proud. When Jiraiya tells the women that the blonde will be the Hokage, Kurama asks Naruto to laugh and turn to face the woman. Naruto notices that the woman is attractive, with blonde hair and hazel eyes, a purple diamond on her forehead, and flushed cheeks from drinking. As he is explaining that Konoha wants Tsunade to be the 5th Hokage, the fox chokes up as he says, "Hey, brat. Do you know who that is?" The Kyuubi's muscles tense at the thought of how Naruto would react to the news, but he knows that keeping it a secret would only make it worse. "No, who is it?" Naruto asks Kurama, ignoring everyone else who is discussing the 3rd Sannin and Hokage. Naruto nods into his neck as Kurama prods him in their mindscape. "Remember when I told you your parents died the night of your birth? It seems your mother didn't, because she's the blonde woman sitting right there," he says. As Shizune tries to persuade her sensei to assume the role of Hokage, Naruto is immobile and can hardly hear her words before he loses it. He jumps on the table, his body filled with rage, and all he wants to do is punch the smug smile off Shizune's face, but before he can do so, Jiraiya grabs the back of his orange jumper and yells, "Let me go! Don't you realize we're at a bar?" Jiraiya must concede that the child is quite bold. Who else but the blonde would want to fight someone for not accepting the Hokage mantle? Ignoring Kurama's advice to calm down, Naruto snaps his knuckles and exclaims, "I don't care if she is a woman. I'm gonna kick her ass. I can't forgive you. You're just a horrible old hag. You've got some guts to say such things to me, kid. Let's take this outside. Tsunade can't help but smile at his bluster. A large part of her knows this is a bad idea, but a bigger part doesn't care. The boy makes the knife in her heart fade away, and she knows that Jiraiya will be leaving with him soon. Tsunade-sama. Shizune attempts to calm her sensei down, but it doesn't work since both blondes leave the bar stalking. Jiraiya and Shizune are forced to follow, and Jiraiya finds it hard to comprehend why they are both getting so worked up over something so trivial. Tsunade doesn't know why she is provoking the youngster, but she believes it's the booze talking because she's never made the best choices when intoxicated. I'm one of the 3 legendary Sannin. I don't even have to be serious to fight this little boy playing ninja, she says. As everyone else has been telling him, Naruto is trembling with anger and yells, "Shut up!" The voice that constantly tells him how worthless and unlovable he is yelling that she didn't want him because he is a demon, a murder, and that she knew something was wrong with him as a baby and that's why she left him to be killed by the villagers. One finger should be enough. The boy makes her think of herself because, when she was her age, she frequently put herself in awkward situations. Tsunade avoids his blow, removes his kunai, then knocks off his headband and flicks him 30 feet away. Naruto throws more shuriken and yells, "Stop fooling around." He needs her to take him seriously and admit that she made a mistake by abandoning him. Tsunade-sama. Shizune feels let down by her sensei since she went too far. "Stop feeling sorry for yourself," yells Kurama at Naruto, who stands shakily and looks at the kunai that lands directly in front of him. The voice returns, telling him that he just proved she was right to leave him and that he will never be good enough for anyone. You might not be able to prove her wrong now, but remember your dreams. You want to become the strongest ninja in the world? Right now she is in the top 5, and when you surpass her, she will have to acknowledge you, she says. "Hey, kid," Tsunade says, a little heartbroken by the moment of despair that preceded the rage that now permeates his face. "What's your name?" Naruto glares at the elder blonde, Naruto Uzumaki, and spits out the blood he got from biting his lip. "What?" Tsunade's heart almost stops. The only Uzumaki left had been Kushina and she died in the Kyuubi attack. "Who's your mother?" Before things get out of control once more, Jiraiya intervenes, saying, he doesn't know his mother Haim, she died in the Kyuubi attack. "Oh, I know who my incubator is." Rasengan, Jiraiya begins. "When the sperm donor put the Kyuubi in me, she decided she didn't want me anymore so she left me." Tsunade steps forward and Shizune gasps. Hope finally fills her chest after being so long without it. This could be her baby. She had assumed that a village family had volunteered their child when she had heard that Minato had died sealing the Kyuubi in a child, but now she's almost so happy that she doesn't even hear his final words or the tone of his voice. "Naruto?" She murmurs. Naruto glares more intensely. "I'll prove to you that you made a mistake 12 years ago by giving up on me," he says. "I'm going to follow in Oba-chan's footsteps and become a strong ninja. I'm going to prove that I'm not just a weapon for the village to point and shoot. I'm going to become Hokage, and I'll show everyone that they can't let hate control their actions, that prejudice is wrong, and that they are wrong for hating me because of something I can't control." Despite the hate in his voice, Tsunade's heart is filled with love. Her baby is alive, tears well up in her eyes, and she moves forward one more step. All she wants to do is hold him in her arms and never let him go. Naruto holds his hand in front of his body and begins to build chakra in it. Tsunade stops, her eyes widening as she sees her baby forming a Rasengan in his hand. He begins to run at her, but she avoids his attack and pushes his hand to the ground, where a small crater is created rather than the massive destruction she had anticipated. Naruto tries to hide his humiliation with rage as his cheeks flush. "I'll show you. By the end of the week, I will become proficient in the Rasengan. I show you I'm more than the trash you throw away, he says, wiping away a few tears that have trickled down his cheeks. Before Tsunade can react, he flees, saying, Naruto. She shouts after him, but Jiraiya grabs her arms before she can follow. Let go, Jiraiya. I must pursue my son. Besides, there is no way you'll find him, Jiraiya said, his mind still spinning from the information that had just been imparted to him. He needs time, Haim, he is my son. I will definitely locate him. Tsunade considers breaking Jiraiya's arm in order to escape. He can't believe that they were mistaken about his parentage for 12 years, but who would have guessed that his mother is Tsunade when Kushina died holding Naruto? He also can't help but wonder how he found out that Kushina wasn't his mother and that he is clearly his father. He is a master of stealth and going undetected. He loses the Umbu with ease. You won't find him if he doesn't want to be found, he says. I've been away from him for 12 years, 4 months, and 21 days, I thought he was dead. I'm not spending another second without him, Tsunade says, jerking her hand away as she rushes off, using her senses to locate her child. Will you please tell me exactly what happened 12 years ago? Jiraiya asks, turning to face Shizune, who is crying. Tsunade is extremely frustrated. She has been searching for her son for 3 hours without success, and she knew that he would cause her anxiety when she was pregnant. Her baby is hurting somewhere because he believes she doesn't want him, which couldn't be further from the truth. She despises herself for having missed so much of his life already. When Shizune said her baby had died, she should have demanded to see his body. If she had, she would have raised him and showered him with more love than he could have tolerated. Tsunade bites her lip and takes out a piece of paper, draws her own seal, and places it on top of her son's. Then, all she needs to do is apply the same modification seals to the 4 other barrier seals around where Naruto is hiding. She throws her fist against a tree, but stops herself an inch before hitting it. A piece of paper is hastily hidden by weak Genjutsu. Tsunade studies the Fuinjutsu seal and smiles slightly, knowing that this is how no one can find him. Tsunade eventually finds all of the seals, even though the others are better hidden than the first one. She can now enter the barrier without warning her son that she is coming because she has come to the realization that Jiraiya is correct and she cannot force herself on him, but she still plans to cloak her chakra and get as close as she can to ensure his safety because she refused to lose her son again. She can sense a faint jutsu signature towards the center of the barrier, so she sneaks her way there. Loud crashes and panting breaths let her know that she is getting close, and after just 20 more feet she is peeking around a tree to see her little orange-clad man attempting to destroy a tree with his incomplete Rasengan. The pain in her heart is nearly unbearable as she imagines how her baby must have learned to cry quietly. She has to fight the urge to run over and check on him until he collapses to his knees. Her baby's body is trembling with tears, but she cannot hear any noise. That damn village will feel her wrath for hurting her baby. Shortly after her little Naruto-chan passes out from exhaustion, she leaves behind the tree and, being careful not to make any noise as she approaches her infant, Tsunade kneels down and removes his hair from his eyes. Her son is gorgeous, with sunshine blonde hair similar to her mother's and her father's nose. She strokes the tips of her fingers across his whisker marks and smiles when he begins purring. I know you think I hate you and that I left you on purpose. Tsunade wipes the tears from the boy's face. Nothing can be further from the truth though. I love you so much. Had I known you hadn't died, I never would have left you. Shizune and I would have raised you and taught you to be an amazing medical ninja. We would have made sure that you knew how loved and wanted you were every day. You would have gotten sick of me always looking after you to make sure you didn't get hurt. I would have fought you on your dream to become Hokage. Everyone that I have ever loved that had that dream has died, but... Tears roll down her cheeks. I can't tell you not to do it now because I don't even know the first thing about you. Tsunade glances at Jiraiya leaning against a tree and says, I would offer to help you with that, but apparently Naruto's been keeping secrets. She should have known that if she saw the barrier, he would be able to as well. Neither Sensei nor I knew that Naruto was aware of his parentage. He apparently has wind chakra too, Jiraiya says, twirling the leaf Naruto had been practicing on in his hand. I wonder who told him. What are your knowledge of him? Tsunade raises her son's head and rests it on her lap. She enjoys the sensation of his coarse, golden hair as she runs her fingers through it. I know he was dead last in the academy, but Sensei thought the teachers were sabotaging him. He's mastered Kage no Bunshin and his stealth skills are top-notch. He lives alone ever since his caretaker died. He likes to perform pranks on the village and Sensei thought it was just his way of getting all of his negative emotions out. Who looked after him? How did they pass away? Tsunade licks her thumb and wipes some dirt from her son's cheek. She smiles because, even if he liked her now, he probably wouldn't have approved of it. He looks down and says, Biwako Saratobi, in a somber tone. Someone hired a missing nin to kill Naruto and the Nine Tails, but Biwako-sama fought him off and they ended up killing each other, he says. My infant was looked after by Biwako-sensei? Is she dead? The woman who taught Tsunade medicine raised her child and died defending him, and she would never be able to thank her for that. Tsunade felt as though the floor had collapsed beneath her. She tenses at the thought of her son seeing his Oba-chan die. Yes, apparently Naruto was there when it happened, she says. He refuses to talk about it to this day, she says. What was his age? 6. Where were the Ambu? Tsunade asks, bending down to kiss Naruto's forehead while moving his headband. Why didn't they come to their defense? Looking at the sunset, Jiraiya says, they didn't make it in time. That's all I know, so you'll have to ask the people involved to learn more. She is drawn to the twinkling of her necklace and plays with it between her fingers. Her baby wants to be Hokage, and she can only imagine how the village would react when they found out. She moves his orange jumpsuit out of the way to wipe off some dirt when she notices a thick scar on his neck, almost like a rope burn. They remain silent for a while, just watching Naruto breathe. Her baby is so precious, and she doesn't understand how someone would want him dead. Why people are too dim to realize that her son is the one who keeps them safe every day instead of the demon fox. Her eyes well up with tears and fall down his mesh shirt as she says, I've missed so much of his life. Tsunade nods her head while continuing to gaze at her child. Just don't miss any more, Jiraiya says with a faint smile. All he's ever really wanted is a family and people to care about him. Let's go, he'll be angry if he wakes up and finds us watching him, Tsunade says. Perhaps she will send Shizune here to take care of him. Shizune has a way with kids, so perhaps she can encourage him to open up. Tsunade nods her head and gently pulls his head from her lap. After years of not crying, the last time being the day his Oba-chan died, Naruto wakes up and rubs his weary eyes open. He still occasionally has nightmares about it, and his body tenses when he hears a ruffling of fabric next to him. He jumps up and draws a kunai, his eyes darting around seeking a place to throw it. He hesitates when he only sees the young woman with his incubator sitting next to where he has been lying. Why are you in this place? It's always been his experience that finding someone next to you when you've been sleeping is never a good thing. Usually it leads to people trying to stab him to death. Luckily Kurama taught him how to weave a genjutsu into a detection seal to fool anyone that broke into his apartment when he's sleeping to kill a mannequin he set up in a corner. Shizune tries to grin reassuringly at him. Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama requested me to come watch over you and bring you some food, Shizune says. I would have come anyhow, but if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have been able to locate you. You're really skilled at Fuinjutsu. Who taught you? That's none of your business, Naruto says, narrowing his eyes at her fishing. Before they killed him, the old hag and Rasengan were presumably merely attempting to gauge how dangerous he was. It's common knowledge that poison won't work. The Nine Tails makes me immune to all poisons and toxins, Shizune says, astonished by his animosity but aware that it's likely earned after years of hatred. She then pushes the basket full of food in his direction and watches as he pulls it closer and lifts the lid before sniffing the food. I would never try to kill you. Shizune knows he doesn't trust her, and she wonders what happened to her younger brother to make him so wary of strangers. It pains her that he doesn't realize how much she already loves him and that she will stop at nothing to protect him. The old pervert had spent all of his money on alcohol and women a few days prior, so he didn't have much left over for food. He had been forcing Rasengan to buy all the food ever since, but the white-haired man didn't realize how much chakra it takes to keep Kurama contained. Fortunately for him, there is a huge amount of rice balls, curry, and sandwiches in the basket. He just grunts before he starts eating, grateful that he has finally realized that she has been the one leaving food all week. Shizune watches him eat everything as if he's worried that she'll take it away from him. It makes her wonder how many times her little brother has gone to bed hungry, and she swears that won't happen again. If she has any say in the matter, he will always go to bed full, and once Tsunade-sama learns that he occasionally goes hungry, there won't be any chance of it happening again, and there will probably be hell to pay. It would be helpful if Rasengan would give him a little more guidance on how to perform the jutsu, but he insists that he needed to learn on his own. Thank you, Naruto says as he gets up to resume training. He has to master the Rasengan by tomorrow and he is so close, he just needs to figure out the perfect balance of rotation and power to form the ball. Fearing that he won't want it, Shizune bites her lip as she says, I have something for you if you want it. Squinting his gaze at her, he mulls over his response, like a present? Oba-chan, Old Man Hokage, Onaizen, Tuchi, and Ian-chan are the only people who have ever given him gifts, everyone else simply takes from him. I made it for you before you were born. I kept it because I wanted a physical reminder of my baby brother. Shizune says, nodding her head while tinkering with something in her bag. She takes out a small plush pig wearing a purple coat and a pearl necklace. Her name is Taunton, you can have it if you want, it's yours after all, she says. Naruto looks at the small plush and gently picks it up. He must force himself to stop thinking about how his life might have turned out if Shizune had been his sister when he was a child. The small stitching on the stuffed animal indicates that she worked very hard on it and must have truly cared for him before he became a monster. Thank you, he says, trying not to cry. I love it, he says. Feeling a bit more courageous, Shizune smiles and asks, may I assist you with your training? Since the pervert and hag are already aware that he is attempting to identify the Rasengan, he thinks about her offer and asks, what can you tell me about the Rasengan? The fourth created it during the Third Shinobi War but he never completed it, he meant to add an elemental change to it but died before he could, he based it on the Biju bomb, the young woman says, beaming with pride at the prospect of teaching her younger brother something. When the blonde's expression brightens, he leaps to his feet and says, thank you. I believe I now know what I must do. The old pervert may not want to teach him how to use the jutsu, but he is confident that he can persuade Kurama to do so. He will prove to the vile old lady that she was wrong, and then he will throw her away like the garbage she called him. Naruto looks down at his hands and says, you know, Kit, yawning awake. You're starting to sound like all the people you want to change. Perhaps he should give the old hag and Shizune an opportunity to explain themselves. Underscore 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 as she looks at Jiraiya, Tsunade ties her fingers under her chin. They had spent the entire night discussing their strategy for eliminating their teammate. She will remove the teenager and assist Jiraiya with Orochimaru while Shizune ensures Naruto's safety. If something were to happen to her child, she would never be able to forgive herself. She asks Jiraiya, "Let's go over it one more time." He attempts to reassure her, but he can tell it didn't work by the strain in her shoulders. "We've gone over it enough, Tsunade. Everything is going to be alright. Maybe you can answer some of my questions now?" "What do you want to know?" she asks, raising an eyebrow. "Your intentions with Naruto. He's led a hard life and doesn't trust easily," Jiraiya says solemnly as he addresses the woman. "Hell, we apparently don't even know the extent of his powers because he keeps it under wraps," he says. "I plan on being his family. He hates me right now, but I hope in time that he will come to love me a fraction of the amount I love him," Tsunade said, her body hurting as she thought about her baby boy. "He shouldn't have had a difficult life. He should have been with her from the beginning, and she knows that she loves him with all of her heart." He tries to ignore the pain in his heart over his friend falling in love with the woman of his dreams, and on top of that, she believes her son has died for 12 years, only to discover that he has been alive in a village that hates him. That can't be easy. Jiraiya sips his sake and looks at his teammate. Her life always seems to take a turn for the worse, and her entire family dies, followed by Dan. Tsunade gets up right away and asks her, "How is Naruto? Has he eaten? Was there anything he said? Why are you here instead of guarding him with him?" Knowing that one incorrect response would anger her mentor, Shizune froze. "He's fine, he ate the entire basket and wants more food," she said. "I'll make him something," she says as she rushes to the kitchen and gathers ingredients. She hasn't cooked since Nawaki was alive, but this week she's been determined to provide a wholesome dinner for her kid. "I told the brat he needs to tone the eating down if he's going to be a ninja." Jiraiya simply shakes his head and chuckles at Shizune. Tsunade quickly presses a knife against Shizune's neck, pressing it hard enough to cause a drop of blood to fall from the wound. As a Jinchuriki, Naruto requires 3 times the amount of food normal boys his age need to keep the 9 tails contained. You shouldn't be telling him not to eat but encouraging him to eat more. Tsunade is able to sense her rage in motions. "My son is skin and bones, he needs food. You ever say anything as stupid as that again and I will make sure it's the last words you'll use." Since he hasn't seen this fire in her eyes in years, Jiraiya struggles to swallow past the knot in his throat but is unsuccessful. "Of course, Haim," he says. Underscore 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 Shizune brings Naruto more food, and she stays until he faints from exhaustion. She is filled with pride and can't stop smiling because her baby brother accomplished what he promised to do. He mastered the Rasengan in a week. She hardly gets to the village before her sensei arrives and takes the boy from her arms. What took place? Is he injured? As she examines Naruto, Tsunade's hands light blue and her heart thuds against her rib cage. Shizune offers her a half smile and says, "He's just exhausted, Tsunade-sama, he's had a long day, I'm going to put him in bed," Shizune says, following the 2 blondes to the hotel and into their room. She sheds a tear of sadness as she sees a mother tuck her son in for the first time and put him to bed. The small family has lost so much time that they will never be able to regain it. When the situation gets too personal, Shizune turns away. She can still hear the gentle lyrics and hums of the lullaby Tsunade used to sing to Naruto before he was born. She waits for Tsunade to join her on the coach, and an hour later, she sits down in a chair and appears more at ease than she has in years. "Have you and Jiraiya-sama devised a strategy?" All week, she has been concerned about Orochimaru and what it means for her younger brother. Her eyes leave Shizune no chance to dispute. Jiraiya and I will go and take care of the traitor and his pet, you will stay with Naruto and keep him safe, she says. Where is Jiraiya-sama at the moment? Getting into position so Orochimaru won't see him coming, she says with a sly smile to her in turn. When Naruto wakes up the following morning and realizes he has no idea how he got here, he fights off a panic attack. His head jerks to the left when he hears the rustle of fabric, and Shizune gets out of bed and smiles at him to calm him down. Where's the old hag? Lady Tsunade and Jiraiya-sama went to fight Orochimaru, Shizune clarified while adjusting the blanket over his head. Why is the elderly pervert outside the window, then? After throwing aside his covers, Naruto moves to the room's lone window and pushes it open. We have a problem, someone poisoned my drink last night, meaning Tsunade went to fight Orochimaru by herself, Jiraiya says with a pained grimace to Naruto and Shizune. Naruto takes off and hears Jiraiya and Shizune calling his name, but he is unable to turn back. He remembers the snake bastard from the Chunin exams, who was stronger than the third, at least, and he whispers, no. He just met her, and he never got to ask her why she gave him up, and why she didn't want him. He is painfully aware of his heartbeat and looks to the west when he feels a spike in chakra. He responds with a shout. When he sees Kabuto moving in for the kill, Kurama's mind is racing and he can hardly stop his chakra from flooding his system. He is growling at him to calm down and think things through, but he is unable to stop. Naruto approaches from his blind side and kicks Kabuto in the jaw, sending him flying. Avoid touching her. You dare not touch her. Taking a defensive position in front of the older blonde, he yells, Naruto! Get out! Avoid arguing with him. Hurry! Tsunade's rasp implores him, but he refuses to back down. Naruto Uzumaki, what a surprise! What do you think you're doing here? Kabuto asks, wiping the blood from his nose and grinning like a hyena. I could ask you the same question, Naruto says, his body pulsing with energy, urging him to charge forward and attack. He knew something was wrong when he first met Kabuto, and his chakra reserves were significantly greater than those of any other Genin save himself and Gaara. It's no surprise that he works for Orochimaru. Poor little orphan Naruto, thinking he can play ninja with the adults, Kabuto scoffs, pushing his glasses up his nose. Listen to the washed-out medic. We wouldn't want the leaf to lose its strongest weapon, would we? I am no one's weapon, he says in an emotionally charged voice as he maintains his position. He only needs to buy time until Shizune and the old fart arrive. I'm a ninja of the Leaf Village and I will stop you. Be that way, Kabuto says as he launches himself forward after using his chakra scalpels, and Naruto confronts him in the center. They trade blows as Naruto tries to dodge Kabuto's glowing hands while focusing on his joints, but he isn't careful enough, and Kabuto nicks one of his hand tendons, making it impossible for him to form hand seals. Naruto! The two shinobi leap away from one another as Tsunade cries, her thoughts trapped in the past, and Kabuto struggles to conceal his arrogance. He pushes forward once more, and Naruto realizes he is well out of his depth. Thankful, Shizune leaps in front of him before Kabuto can get too near. You should have listened, Naruto, he says. No, you don't. She confronts him and yells. Jiraiya follows closely as he assesses Orochimaru. Since neither of them is at his peak, the most he can do is hold him at bay until he makes the decision to give up and go. You killed the third, Orochimaru, I can't let you leave here alive, Jiraiya says. Like you could take me with that poison running through your blood, the snake chuffs to himself. He licks his lips and smiles broadly. You can thank Kabuto for that, he says. The elderly wise man looks back at Naruto and says, "I'll make sure to bring it up at his funeral. Keep Tsunade safe." Naruto nods his head in agreement and watches both battles to make sure there aren't any stray kunai heads heading their way. He must resist the urge to listen too intently to his mother because her words, "No, not again, Kami, don't take him from me, not again, not my baby," could result in their deaths. He can see that the battle isn't going their way. Shizune is losing ground inch by inch, and Jiraiya is barely holding his own. "I need to take action." In his mind, Naruto shouts, pleading with Kurama for inspiration. "If you engage with the snake, you die. If you help with the medical nin, you will die." Kurama huffs, as if he doesn't. "All you can do is keep guard of your mother. She needs you more than they need you. I don't have a choice now." Kurama only moves to sit instead of lying down, and Naruto clenches his fist as he watches Shizune take blow after blow. He's trying to learn other things, but it's taking time, even with his shadow clones. The final kick sends her flying behind the two blondes, and Naruto braces himself. "Now, Naruto, it's just you and me. Run away like a good little boy and maybe I'll spare your life," he mocks him. No way. His fight doesn't last long and ends with Naruto being kicked into a rock. The blood in his ears from the blow to his head knocks the air out of his lungs, and he can't hear what Kabuto says to Tsunade because he can't move. Naruto tries to move, but his muscles won't respond until he watches Kabuto go to hit the terrified medic. He can't even remember doing it, and he takes Kabuto's hit in his headband. "I informed you. Keep your hands off her." His heart sinks when he not only dodges but also removes his right leg. He still can't hear anything out of his left ear, and he knows he just has one move left. Forming a Rasengan in his hand, he jumps forward with a snarl to kill the man with the silver hair. The only way he's going to win this battle is if he can keep Kabuto in one place, but that puts him in grave danger. Naruto doesn't hear the man approach and is brought back to the situation when he gets kicked in the face. Kabuto taunts him as he laughs and pulls out his card for the genin exams. Naruto still can't hear him, but experience tells him what he's saying. "Damn you! Fight!" Kurama yells at him, and Naruto receives the subsequent kick. "Enough of it! I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to give up," Kabuto says, astonished that he can push him away. He forces himself to his feet and stands in defiance to all that Kabuto believe. Unable to react fast enough, Kabuto was able to get him with another churka scalpel to the right ear. Now he can't hear anything. He struggles to stand again and the ringing in his head is only making his headache worse. At least his mother is behind him now. "All right, Granny," he smiles thinking about how angry that would make her. "Get ready to regret leaving me, don't you worry about me." He yells in his mind as he lifts his hand and catches the kunai in his palm. "I refuse to die until I prove to everyone how wrong they are." Kabuto, who appears even more irate than he has been since the start of the battle, charges him. In the hopes that his final wish will come true, he gathers the chakra in his hand and creates the Rasengan he has been working on all week. "Compress the chakra, keep it going," he murmurs to himself. Rasengan. He blasts Kabuto away after forcing the destructive ball into his gut. "Guess my Hail Mary failed," Naruto whispers to Kurama as he passes out, his eyes turning black as he collapses to the ground, his breath coming in heavy pants and he struggles to breathe. He knows something is wrong when the pressure in his chest keeps rising. Naruto floats in a sea of black. He has never been truly alone, at least not yet. Kurama has always been there for him through good times and bad. The isolation is terrifying. He knows that this isn't how things should be. He should sink to the bottom, whatever that bottom is, but something is holding him to the surface. He hears broken words pleading with him not to die. He doesn't know why he can hear them now. He lets the words guide him to the surface, cracks his eyes open, And the blurred figure of Tsunade fills his vision. His hand reaches up to touch her face, but he grabs her necklace instead. I want your story, he says, trying to sound as clearly as possible.